Yes. Yes. We up. Yes. Yes. Come on in, family. You already know. Put your nines up. Put your nines up. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back on this Wednesday. Peace to everybody in the building. Shout out my first nine before I get seasoned and get started. Let me talk about it. We got Daisha Kelly is in the building. She was the first one on early riser. We also got a Sin 444. Peace, peace, peace. That's a showing some consistency for 444. Trenton Reed is in the building. I see you. Dallas, Texas in the building. Shout out to everybody in Dallas, Texas. Pan African Connection. That's where I did my first lecture. Shout out to Dallas. My first ever. Shout out to all the family in Dallas, Texas. JN, oh, whoa, peace, peace. We got that Lighthouse Power Bracelet coming to you, family. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I saw your order. We also have Latifah Foster in the building out of Charlotte, North Carolina. If y'all don't know, Latifah Foster is the co-founder of the Lighthouse. Talk about it. Talk about it. Welcome, welcome. We also have Trade, Forearm, the Trey. I see you. Good morning. Peace to you out of Abilene, Texas. Peace to you. Jay Chill the first. I see you, Grand Rising. Put your nines up, family. Let me know where y'all from. Let the people know where y'all from so y'all can link up. That is the core of the Lighthouse. That's how we get together here on these lives. That's how these relationships are created, right? In this village, right? So shout out to everybody. Sonia Sunshine in the building. Long-time supporter, I see you, Queen. Mark Blake in the building, long-time supporter, I see you. Kenneth Goodman out of the DMV is in the building. Shout out to Kenny. Shout out to homie. I see you, my guy. All the long-time supporters in the building. I see you. I see you. Grand Rising to everybody. Grand Rising to everybody. Yes, you are on time. You are on time. Mark Blake said he needed a saw bracelet. Hit me up in the inbox. We got you. They rolling out. Y'all see the pictures. Y'all see everybody getting their packages. We got same-day deliveries going on right now. Speedy delivery, right? We got a lot of work to do. So today, before I get into it, we're going to be talking about Big Mama's house. Before we do that, let's get the frequency right, Zach. Yeah, charge up your water. Charge it up before you consume your water. Make sure it's vibrating on the right frequency, family. If you're wondering what we're doing here, this is not spookism, this is science. This is science, right? We are literally charging our bodies to vibrate at a frequency of 432 hertz by ingesting water that is charged, ionically charged, with the right frequency. I'm going to get into some of that technology later on too, especially as we delve into the Tibet singing bowls and their actual functions and how they can be useful to you in your everyday lives. But for today's topic, um, we're going to be talking about Big Mama's house. Big Mama's house. Big Mama's house. Now, as you all know, I'm a Kemetic priest out of the Shrine of Ma'at here in Harlem, New York. I'm your host, Jamaar Milton. Everything that we speak on today's show will be, for the most part, will have a African spiritual perspective. Okay, African spiritual perspective, specifically coming out of ancient Kemet. Yes. Okay, so today I want to talk about Big Mama's house, and probably say, well, Brother Jamaar Milton, what do you mean by Big Mama's house, right? We're talking about ancient Kemet. What are you talking about? This is something that is pretty crazy to me. It's pretty mind-blowing. Somewhat disappointing a little bit, but I would have to say enlightening to say the least. We have to talk about this fourth pyramid. This fourth pyramid that has been found in Egypt, in Kemet. Now, there's been some debate as to whether it's a pyramid, a tomb. I'm leaning more towards tomb, but I'm also leaning towards it may have given us a more, I should say, reasoning as to why the pyramids were created in the first place. This particular pyramid that we're talking about, located in Kemet, is right next to the Giza pyramids. I want you to look at this photo, family, and look right to the bottom left-hand corner. You see that little box right there? It has like 2 to 3 layers, not on the right, but the left one. It looks like it's broken down. You're looking at the tomb of Queen Kent House. Queen Kent House. This is what she looks like on the glyphs. Okay? This is what she looks like in stone as a sculpture. Okay? Mind the beard. Okay? Anytime there was a woman of power or royalty or a king, a woman king, right? No disrespect, but they would put a beard on her to show her wisdom and her power, her respect that she was given from the people. So many times you will see images like this, just like Hatshepsut, where you may find the nose shot off, but you will see a beard with a womanly-looking face, a feminine-looking face. That shows a queen that was in rulership, right? A well-respected queen. So when we look at this, right, at this pyramid that they have now found, and family, what I want you to know is that this information that I'm giving you is literally like a couple days old. Okay, maybe about 4 days old, right? This information is starting to come out. And what's crazy is how close this is to the actual Giza pyramids, yet it's not being talked about the way the ones at Giza, the big ones, are being spoken about, right? Khafre, right? And the significance of this pyramid is exactly who is housed in this tomb, inside of this miniature pyramid. If we had to do it over today, what it would look like today, family, right? It would look something like this. They did a 3D image composite or remake of it, and this is what it would have looked like. Isn't that interesting? How come this is not being talked about, that there was a fourth building, a fourth structure that housed a woman king? Even Egyptologists aren't talking about this the way that they're talking about the pyramids of Khufu. How come this isn't being talked about? This has been excavated, and they found a village surrounding these pyramids, this particular tomb. And they also found structures that were put in front of the doorway, of the entryway, that led to a small chapel. And inside of that, there's these other little compartments. As you can see here, there are 3 of them have been cut out, right? There's these other little compartments. And I'm going to tell you why I think they haven't been talking about this in a minute. But just look at the infrastructure here of how this thing is created. This was not a little, fly-by-night structure here. This was just as intricate as the pyramids at Giza, and it's still there. It's still standing, right? And let's talk about the most important factor here. The most important factor here is this erosion. I want you to look at, on the side of the structure here, the water erosion. Okay? The reason why that's significant is because that water erosion was only there for a certain time in history. The water that is hitting this area, that water that was there, that's a certain time period. That's pre-dynastic. Hold on, somebody said, well, what do you mean by pre-dynastic? This was here, some say would even say prior to the pyramids. This was built around the time of the Sphinx. Whoa. Wait a minute, brother. No. So you telling me that there were tombs built like pyramids prior to the ones at Giza being made, and it was created for a woman? Still there. Now, mind you, I have been to Egypt and back. I've been to Egypt and back. But I've never seen or even heard of this additional pyramid here in the cut. Who is this woman? Who is this woman? Guess what they also found, family? When they excavated this tomb, they also found in the tomb a boat. A boat, which they call the boat of Re. The boat of Re. Something similar to the boat that we saw, New Ankh, right? Something similar to that they found in this tomb. A boat. So wait a minute. We have a pre-dynastic building, right? With also a boat on the inside. What does that say? That says volumes. It says volumes, right? A, under the rulership of a queen, of a woman. B, it also says that they had the ability to create boats, right? Africans had the ability to create boats in pre-dynastic times. That means they had the technology and the wherewithal, right, to navigate the ocean waters pre-dynastic. They had the intel, the mathematics to be able to create such infrastructures pre-dynastic. And this is all under a woman's rulership that we're seeing. She was what they say. Let me pull it up here. Let's pull up some info. Let's pull up some info. This is crazy. Okay. The west half of the chamber was once occupied by a large alabaster sarcophagus fragments, of which constituted the only significant finds by Salim Hassan. That's the one that discovers it. Carved into the north wall was a shelf which once stored a canopic jars of the burial. So we know that this was a tomb because they found the canopic jars in there. What are the canopic jars? The canopic jars are those little jars that you find. Hold on. Looks something like this. Looks something like this. Right? These you will only find. Hold on, let me move this image so you can see what canopic jar is. These you will mainly find in tombs. Okay? And inside of these little jars, right? Inside of these little jars, they would house the organs, right, of the deceased. And there's usually 4 of them in there. Okay? It would house the organs of the deceased. Okay? Canopic jars. And it's usually in something like this. So that's how you know that this was more or less a tomb, right? Okay. So they found this inside of that tomb. Okay. Yeah, we're staying in the vibe of Woman King right now, right? We're going to stay in that vibe. Since we want to talk about the fictitious characters, why not we just talk about the real ones, right? Going back, if you wanted to find, for research purposes, if you wanted to find, let me see if I can find this image. If I have it, I don't know if I have one. I wanted to show you how her name is written. I think that's also important. So that way you can recognize when you see it, right? Let me this should come up. This should be a really fair, easy Google search. I want you to see if you can find her name is written. I thought that was very interesting. I had it. Yeah, here it is. Let me show you this family. This is how her name is written. Okay. In glyphs. Right? So you have Kent, Ka, U, S. Okay? So if you're trying to read the Medu Neter, this is how you read it. Right? Left to right, it would be Kent. Right? This is the symbol for Ka. Right? When you have 3 of them, it's Kau. Right? Plural. Right? Kau. So you have Kent, Kaus. Right? That's how you'll find her written in glyphs, and you'll also see her Mutnasubiti name as well written in glyphs, the Nsubiti, to show that she was indeed a ruler. Anytime you see those B's like that, right? That's Nasubiti or Nsubiti, right? Meaning you're a ruler, right? Her name actually means that, right? So there's no discrepancy that she was ruling, and she wasn't just, how some people like to put it, a consort, a helpmate, right? No, she was the head honcho, okay? The head honcho for that time. Now, it does say that she was passed down rulership by whoever was there prior, right? Menkare, right? But at the end of the day, she was a ruler, right? And she was a grand high ruler. She wasn't just, a fly by night. So what is this showing us, right? When we're seeing the Great Mother, as her name means, the Great Mother, right? It's showing us a time in history, family, where a woman ruling was not something that was special, right? This is pre-dynastic. This is before Alexander the Great and Nefertiti and all the different things, King Tut, all the things that we love to, talk about. This is pre-dynastic, right? So, when we look at this, it's showing a culture in ancient Kemet where women sat on thrones regularly. It's the only time in history, it's the only place in history where you see women ruling regularly, right? And having that leadership, that overseer leadership, right? The reason why we're talking today, and we'll call this one Big Mama's House, is because I was talking the other day with Lai, and we was talking about how, back in the day, if we talk about what's wrong with Black culture, back in the day, everybody had a Big Mama's house. Everybody had a Big Mama's house back then. What was Big Mama's house? Big Mama's house was the standard. It was the place where you went, where you knew that this was the epicenter of culture for our village, for our family. It was the epicenter. She was the rock, the matriarch, right? In every family, Big Mama was respected, right? The divine mother, right? It seems in today's time, all of the big mamas are absent, right? We've traded in the big mamas, right? And the thing about Big Mama is the one that carried the spirit of the bloodline, the spirit of the family, right? She was the matriarch. Right? When we looked at her name, if you look at her name, it showed the spirit, right? It had 3 Kas, which is the hands raised like this, right? That's Ka, that means spirit. That's like the ether, where we get all the information from. See? That was Big Mama. Even back in ancient times, we find that Big Mama was revered, and Big Mama was set up straight. Nowadays, we got folks that's selling Big Mama's house. Huh? Now we live in an era where they sell Big Mama's house, right? Big Mama is no longer the matriarch. People aren't doing this type of stuff nowadays for Big Mama. They're not building cities in Big Mama's name, right? They're not showing honor and respect to the ancestors in this type of manner anymore. Her values are not being respected in the house no more, right? How you move about, how you talk to people, your moral and ethical code, the things that are tolerable or intolerable, right? That measure of standard is what's missing in the Black community. Even royalty understood, hey, we got to make a place for Big Mama. Even the king said, we got to set up Big Mama right. This tomb is right next to the Giza Pyramid, right next to them big joints where everybody go and they pay their money to go see, right? I wouldn't put it past the king or whoever was building these pyramids, Khufu. I wouldn't put it past any one of the kings that ruled during that time if they hadn't seek guidance from her, which is why she was given such a tomb, such an extravagant tomb the way that she was. Guidance. The divine mother, right? That same divine mother energy is what we're talking about when we talk about Ast, when we talk about Neptus, or that sisterly love, that divine feminine love, that divine feminine overseer, right? The one that sees everything and makes sure everything is right, keeps the order straight. Same energy, right? The scientists have even went as far as letting everyone know that that what you're seeing now, as far as the structure, they redid. It was originally something else, and then they created it into what you see today. If you were to peel away the size of the stones, it would have imagery something like this. Something like that. They redid it with masonry. Before that, under that, it's nothing but limestone. Some of it is they said burnt limestone, right? Man-made burnt limestone, right? All of this stuff is what is missing throughout our culture. I mean, nowadays we got grandmas that's like 30 years old, so you know. Right? But in a sense, it's not about the age, right? It's about the knowledge, right? That is contained generationally. So this divine mother had knowledge of building megaliths in pre-dynastic culture, right? Well before anything that we study today. Anything that we study today is based upon mainly recent stuff. This is why you see a lot of, you know, the ancient Kemites, and sometimes they're white. You'll see, you look at, I won't say ancient Kemites, some of the Egyptians, they'll show white people, right? They pump you up with the ones that were white, that were ruling Egypt, because those were the conquerors. That's fairly new stuff. So when people argue that Egypt wasn't a black civilization, right? Essentially, they're right if they're talking about Egypt, but if they're talking about Kemet, Kemet is pre, right? That's early on. And that's why this structure is so significant, is because of when it was built. All the stuff on the outside of it came later. It came later. And the fact that the boat was in there, that takes it to a whole nother level, right? Because now we're dealing with the rituals associated with that. The only time you see the boat of Re, or is being talked about the boat of Re, right? We're talking about literal, like, mortuary situations, funerary situations, right? We're talking about spiritual things, the unseen, right? These boats were created to mimic what Re does in the morning and the evening. They found the boat, the night boat of Re, right? The one that gives light to the world at night. The one that Re travels on in the afterlife. That's what they found. So it's my contention to say that the reason why this isn't being talked about, because it will force them to bring up that conversation. Because once we definitively say, oh yes, we had boats in pre-dynastic history, the whole argument of even people here in the Americas, right? When they say we were always here. Oh, really? Oh, really? We have boats from Africans showing that they were navigating the waters, right? Well before America was even thought of, right? We have proof now that under a woman's rulership, right? We can't say who, if they had boats prior to that or whatever. We had concepts of it, but we know we have evidence now, right? From this temple, from this tomb, or what they called at one time a mastaba, that this divine mother was moving boats around, right? And to move boats around, obviously, you're going to have to know where you're going. You're going to have to study the stars too. Navigated the whole world under a woman's rulership. Big Mama's house. And it's still there. I think that's the most shocking part of it, is that it's still there. So you can literally go all the way to Egypt, move around, and totally miss a part of history that totally changes everything that we thought that we knew, essentially. See, watch this. The concept of Big Mama, the divine mother, right? You know how when you go to your mama or you hear something from your mama, right? We all had this growing up, where your mama would tell you something, right? And your mother was your authority. Your mother was your God at that time, right? Big Mama, however, had a different level, a different hierarchy, right? Growing up, we might not have understood that your grandmother is your mother's mother, right? Growing up, we don't put that generational emphasis and understand what it means to have a generation between someone. We don't correlate the amount of knowledge that comes into play and the jurisdiction that comes into play until we actually see it played out, right? I was fortunate enough to grow up with my great grandmother and my grandmother and my mother, right? All under the same roof. I was able to interact with them. I was able to see that connection, right? Some people don't even know their mother, right? Let alone their grandmother or their great grandmother, right? I was around my great grandmother until she passed away at 103. Okay, my great grandfather passed away at 98. So the level of wisdom and being able to see how family structure works was incredible to see that dynamic, right? So I'm no stranger to how that correlates in a village structure, right? What it looks like for the village when Big Mama is seated at the throne, the matriarch. Because you see, Mama could say something, right? You can't check Mama, right? Everybody know you can't check Mama. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are. You're not checking Mama. You're not checking Mama, right? However, Big Mama, right, has the ability to check Mama, right? Big Mama has the ultimate say so. You see? Yeah, we got a king on the throne, but the king gets checked by Big Mama. You know what I'm, so I don't care how strong a king is. When Mama come around, all that toned down. You see what I'm saying? So when we look at the dynamic here, when we look at it from a spiritual sense, the fact that they built this city around Big Mama like this, it shows she was well respected, and that her values, her goals, her morals and ethical codes, right, were considered and respected. It wasn't something that was just, okay, Big Mama done died, let's move on, we doing what we got to do now. That's not how that worked. No, they built this after she passed away. They built this city next to her, right? That's a whole different level. So when I talk about Hatshepsut and how her lineage lasted for thousands of years, right? 2,000 years. People were confused. They're like, well, she couldn't have lived for 2,000 years. Of course not. Of course not. But her lineage, her legacy lasted for 2,000 years, meaning the systems that she set in place were solid enough to run a generation and another generation and another generation and another generation long after she's gone. Long after she's gone. So what we're seeing here today, 2022, we're seeing the disconnect between the breadcrumbs of the ancestors that Big Mama has left for us, right? We're seeing a disconnect between our culture. So we're bamboozled as to what belongs to us. Right? As great as Woman King is, it doesn't belong to us. As great as Black Panther is, doesn't belong to us. Right? All these films and movies, all the different things that they put out to represent doesn't belong to us. This here belongs to us. This is ours. Never mind a movie. That's great, right? It's cool. But this right here, this is really ours. This is real history, right? This is literally how civilization began. This is literally GPS. We don't have a GPS without this event, right? We don't have any of that. To be able to move around and navigate the sun, the moon, and the stars, we don't have that science without these events taking place. Our story. It's ours. So why isn't it being talked about? Why do we make up stories to talk about before we talk about the real stories? Right? And people make you feel bad too about it. Like, oh yeah, it's great. You should go see it. Cool. Well, that's cool. But why aren't we active in pursuing our own stories versus the stories that they create for us? We should not be able to name 5 presidents of the United States, but can't name 5 queens of Africa. We shouldn't be able to do it. You shouldn't know the starting lineup of the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers, but you don't know the starting and the founding fathers, founding sisters of African civilization, of your own people. Right? That shows the power of indoctrination. Like, just think about it. That shows the power of indoctrination. You know all the world history of the United States, right? You even know something about England. Huh? You know Queen Elizabeth. Uh-huh. You know the whole royal family, huh? Henry. Huh? You know the daughter, huh? You know who's smashing who, huh? You know where they going, Epstein Island. You know all their whereabouts. But this is the first time we're hearing about this queen right here. I'm here to tell you today, family, that this is not by mistake. This is by design. This is by design, right? You can't just skip over it. Like, oh, what's that? I don't know. Let's throw some dust on it. Just a queen, right? Whatever. You can't just do that. Big Mama's house. Big Mama was in charge in the village of all the children in the village. Major key. Big Mama was in charge of all the kids. Big Mama was the house where if you needed some extra bread, some sugar, right? A babysitter, right? Even if you needed somebody to chastise your child while you're gone, it would be Big Mama. Where do you think that concept came from? Right? Right? If you look at a older woman versus a grown man, right? Let's say a woman in her 70s or 80s and a grown man, right? Mid-20s or 30s, right? You would think that grown man is big, strong, right? He's a warrior king. He should kneel to no one, right? He doesn't have to respect anybody, right? All the kings were warriors. They were people that fought. These people could, throw a spear probably 100 yards and make it land right on your neck where it needs to go, okay? But when you see who they honor and who they respect, and you make that connection and you realize that, it changes things, right? If you look at the family that this woman came from, we're talking the Macaire family, The Menkare family they were some stand-up individuals. Like if you ever just Google Menkare and look at some of the imagery that comes up of Menkare and his wife. Let me show you. Let me show you if it'll come up. I don't know if it's going to come up. Let me see if I can. Let me pull it up. Stay with me. You'll find. You guys just look in your phones right now and Google Menkare. Right? A couple of things we can take a look. Let's look at her, right? Look at her face. Look at her structure. Clearly, she's a black woman, right? Look at the fro. Look at the curls in the hair, right? We clearly know what we're dealing with, right? So there's so many things that this is revealing, in a sense, right? We're showing a black woman ruling, votes being created. All this stuff is going on, right? We should just sweep under the rug. Let's not talk about that, right? This is what she looked like. You can't run from it. That's her. There's another image here showing her build. She reminds me of Hatshepsut a lot, right? And I want to dig in more to see what else she has done, right? Make sure, yes, family, make sure you'll smash that like button. Smash that heart button right now. Take the time. We got 55 people in the room. Make sure y'all smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Go ahead and smash that like button if you're learning something new today, that there was a fourth pyramid, which they deemed as a tomb. It's still there. Okay, we're talking about Big Mama here. Talking about Big Mama. I'm trying to find some imagery of Menkare for you, so you guys can get an understanding as to what type of individual we're dealing with here too. I might just have to share my page. I think I'm just going to do it that way. I'm going to share my page. For the sake of research purposes. Particular image that I want to bring up here just to show you. Okay. Look at this fella. Look at Menkare and his family, his wife and his daughter. Let's take a look at that. Look at how he represents his family. Look at how much respect as a king and reverence he has for the divine feminine energies in his life. You know, when I hear people, hold on, let me pull it up here. Can you guys see that? Is that showing? I'm not sure if it's showing. I want to make sure that it's showing. Hold on. Look at that. This is Menkare. You see that? Just look at this picture and how he's representing for the fan. It's like when you see stuff like this and imagery like this in ancient Kemet, where he's standing there with his wife and his daughter, you can't say that these were immoral people. You can't look at this as something as, you know, a king who was misogynistic. right? Like we find in many cultures. We see misogyny in many cultures. But that's not what this is. Here you're seeing a clear indication of what this man was about. And they put him in that black stone. Just so we clear. This is written in stone. Right? So you could pretty much imagine how he respected his mother. Right? You can pretty much figure out and realize what type of culture they were living under. Right? Even the concept of Big Mama. Even the concept of Big Mama comes out of Kemet. We built monuments. So what does that look like in 2022? Well, here's the thing. Moving forward, what does that look like? A lot of the big mamas aren't around no more. COVID took care of a lot of that. COVID did take care of a lot of that, unfortunately. So what does that look like? Well, black woman, if you realize that you are your ancestors, right? What does that mean for you in this time period? Think about it. Big Mama's gone. Big Mama's gone. Right? Black man, Big Mama's gone. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for the legacy in today's time? What is your role? What is your responsibility in today's time to restore, right? Or to hang on to? What is your responsibility of Sankofa, right? To go back and find. What are you holding yourself accountable to that was left for you in your legacy? The legacy that Big Mama built. When you look at black culture and you see all the things that's going on, a lot of things that you see going on in the street wouldn't even be happening if Big Mama was still sitting on the porch. Don't matter what religion Big Mama, it don't matter what religion Big Mama was dealing with at the time. Big Mama was the overseer. She made sure that everybody was okay and that nobody was doing nothing goofy out here. So it's my contention to say that women today, right, need to begin to start going back into that type of energy, that Big Mama energy, that overseer energy, right? That matriarch energy. I know everybody want to do the city girls and the city boys, right? Black men need to have that protective king energy of the Big Mama energy, right? Protect the throne that Big Mama sits on. Build the throne for Big Mama. Build the house for Big Mama, right? That's what our ancestors was doing. That's what they was doing. It was about family. When you look at it, when you look how they represented themselves, I mean, to put something in stone, this stuff takes a long time to do. This wasn't something like fly by night. I know a lot of y'all, you just want to send your little post to grandma for her birthday on Facebook. That's cool. That's cool. But these people were literally building monuments over the course of their mothers' lives, right? For their resting place. That's just a whole different standard. You heard? It's a whole different standard. And that's because Big Mama came inside. So What are you coming with? Right? What are you bringing to your family? Right? Of value that you could say is worth that type of energy you put into it. Right? Definitely, if you are the founder of one of the founders of astrology, that would merit you that, right? Being able to create boats and navigate boats across the waters, that would be pretty important, right? So you see the level of uh, contribution that they gave to society that merited that type of activity, right? It wasn't about just sitting around, whatever, doing nothing. You had to be bringing something of value in order for you to be placed on that pedestal like that. You had to be. And it's my contention that's the reason why they did it, right? Even as an adult, this is empowering, right? And we talk about the children watching us, right? Just imagine your daughter or your son is watching a temple, a huge monument, a tomb being built, right? In grandma's honor, right? While she's living and even after. That's like, wow. You know, this really like touched me. When I saw it, I was just like, who is she? How is she just hidden in history? Why are we even talking about movies that these white folks is making about us when we got this right here? It's something to think about. Something to think about. Big Mama, welcome to the Lighthouse. Announcements. New music dropping October 15th, right? For the culture. New music dropping October 15th. All streaming platforms. Thank you to everybody that's been showing your love and support. Peace to everybody in the feed. Let's go over some of these comments. Iris Ann says, never show the greatness of the people you are oppressing. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Let's look at some of these comments. Netaru 99 says, right, and Big Mama override everybody, right? Big Mama, talk about it. Everybody had one. And if you didn't have, if Big Mama wasn't your Big Mama, right, then you respected somebody else's Big Mama. It wasn't just, Big Mama wasn't just for her own family. It was for the whole block, right? So everybody was being looked out for, right? Things have changed. It's not even safe for Big Mama no more. We got to make it safe again for Big Mama. She got to be able to sit on the porch without catching a stray bullet. You see what I'm saying? We have communities that have not made it okay for Big Mama to flourish. I mean, listen, family, I work, like I work in the solar industry and I move around and I see it all the time. I go in people's homes and I see Big Mama in there by herself. I go in these shows and I see Big Mama in there by herself, and I mean one lady I went to and I went to help set her up, and out of everything that I did for her, the main thing that she wanted was to get set up on Facebook just so she could communicate with her church folk and her family. She said, "My son don't ever come by. He told me he was going to set me up." So basically, she'd just be sitting in there with no communication with nobody. Big Mama sitting in there with no communication with nobody. Don't know what anybody's doing, what's going on in the world. She just in there by herself. I see it all the time. I see it at least once a week. At least once a week. An elderly person who just by themselves. And nobody coming around to check on them. See what I'm saying? This is the type of energy in our community that got to stop. I understand everybody ripping and running, everybody trying to get their money. We want to be successful. Manifest. I get all that. Right? But what are you doing it all for? You know what I'm saying? I remember as a youngin', the things that I completed in life, right? As a youngin', the things that motivated me was being able to come home and show my grandma what I did. That was my joy. That was the thing that motivated me. Seeing my grandmother say, "Hey G, come over here and show me what you did." You know what I'm saying? She used to call me G. Just my grandmother saying, "Hey G, come over here. Hey G, what you think about this?" She sees someone on the news. What you think about this, right? She was always interested in what was going on, right? For the future generation, the whole family could be popping, popping stuff, right? But when I came in the youngest, right? Something about Big Mama, she liked to instill that energy in the youngest, right? In the generations that were yet to come, the future generations. That's the type of vibes that Big Mama come with. She empowered the future and made it last from generation to generation to generation, right? She would even overlook sometimes her own daughters and sons so that the grandkids was okay. Talk about it. Talk about it, right? The mistake she might have made on her children, she wasn't going to make on her grandchildren. She was going to make sure, right? That's like your second shot. When you're a grand, shout out to all the grands out here. Anybody that's a grand, right? I'm not a grand yet. But when you start having grandchildren, right? That's like your second chance at having children. You said, you can drop them off when it's over. Right? It's like a second shot, right? To really chip away at the culture of the village. See what I'm saying? So, that energy has disappeared out of our homes. Guess what? It hasn't disappeared out of the homes of our oppressors. The homes of our oppressors, Big Mama is there. Big Mama in the house got her own little room in the back. Some of them got their own apartments set up in the crib. You don't even know Big Mama is there. The basement, Big Mama lives in the basement. She's got her own thing set up. Own thing she's taking care of. She's not in a nursing home. She's not in an apartment somewhere, right? Assisted living because you're too lazy to take care of Big Mama. Right? Or you out here getting it. You're getting to the bag while Big Mama withers away and all your morals and ethical code go right along with it. That's not what's happening. In their homes, it's a full-blown system and a hierarchy of how things go, right? That's what we've lost, right? That's what we need to send Kofa. That's what we need to go back and get, right? When we had Black Wall Street, when we had all those things going on, Big Mama was on the porch. Talk about it. When we had us, Big Mama was on the porch at the same time. She was on the porch at the same time. See? So, with that being said, family, moving on. North Carolina, I'm coming to see you. October 15th, I'm coming to see you. Shout out to everybody in North Carolina. I'm shooting a film in North Carolina. My first movie role. Super excited. My first movie role. Okay. Can't tell you anything about it because I signed an NDA, so I can't tell you what it's about. But just know your boy is in the building. We have Lighthouse Power bracelets. These are the men's bracelets. They're out. These are $75. Shout out to everybody that's been showing their support for the show. If this show did anything for you, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and also invest in the show by getting a Lighthouse Power bracelet and becoming a part of the Lighthouse. We have the Asar Aset Heru bundle. We also have them for children now too as well. They're really, really nice. Shout out to everybody that's been tapping in and been meditating with us with their power bracelets on. This is how we vibrate together. We be on the same frequency, right? And we truly believe that this aligns us. So, and this helps support what it is that we do. It allows me to move about, to travel, and do all the things that we want to do here in the Lighthouse and upgrade the way that we have. So, shout out to everybody that's been showing their love and support for what it is that I do. It's not easy getting up here every single day, to talk to you guys, right? Got to keep myself, right, calibrated in order to be here for you guys. So this really helps out those of you who are showing your love and support by doing that. We do have same day shipping. If you order your bracelets by 4 p.m. today, it will ship today, and you will have your tracking numbers in your inbox. If you're interested, just inbox me, or you can just hit the Cash App right there. Like I said, the men's are 75, the women's are 50, and the kids are 30. Okay, so shout out to everybody that's been showing their love and support on that in that sector. As you all know, the Shrine of Ma'at, we also have our bi-weekly ascensions every other week. Every Sunday, tap in to the Shrine of Ma'at Facebook page if you would like to see that. Okay. And yes, if you are sending via Cash App, make sure that you put your address in the notes. Thank you, Latifah. Make sure you put your shipping address in the notes if you are sending via Cash App. Okay. And what else do we have going on? I know there was another announcement. We are planning the new trip, the philanthropy trip that I'll be letting you guys know, the Lighthouse Power Trip. We're going to do something a little bit different. And I'm going to be revealing that in the upcoming days. It's being scheduled right now. I'm just looking to find the right situation. But that's going to be coming real soon. There's also a trip that we're looking to plan in April to the Northern Lights, okay, in Iceland. If you're interested in that trip, definitely hit me up because I believe that there are being some talks about that possibly being our next power trip. So if you're interested, definitely hit me up. I've always wanted to go and see Aurora Borealis, right, which I believe leads to Mount Meru. So we're going to get as close as we can, which is Iceland, to take a look at that. So that's going to be an awesome, awesome event. If you're looking to go and travel with us to, do some knowledge, do some research, hit us up. We'll get you involved, and we'll see how many people we can get to go on this one. We've already been to Kemet. We plan to do that again too. Go back to Africa, but more than likely, our next trip will be to Iceland, to the Northern Lights. We're going to be going all around the world, family. That's why the Lighthouse is so exciting. We make sure that we get a really good world view on what's going on, so that we're tapped in. We're on a whole different vibe, whole different frequency, brand new, level up. April 8th to the 11th. April 8th to the 11th is the Iceland trip to Northern Lights. All right. So with that being said, I love y'all. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that. I need all of that energy. Get it over here. Let's do what we do. Y'all know how we give it up. With that being said, make the divine force in me be the divine force in you. When you manifest every heart's desire. I'm going to let this rock out. Y'all can chop it up in the feed and link with one another. Make sure y'all put down where you're from. Put your nines up. You already know what time it is. Bless.